Welcome to your channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Ray Charles Robinson Sr., September 23, 1930 June 10, 2004, was an American singer, songwriter, pianist, and composer. Among friends and fellow musicians, he preferred being called Brother Ray. He was often referred to as the genius. Charles was blinded during childhood, possibly due to glaucoma. Charles pioneered the soul music genre during the 1950s by combining blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, and gospel styles into the music he recorded for Atlantic. He contributed to the integration of country music, rhythm and blues, and pop music during the 1960s with his crossover success on ABC Records, notably with his two Modern Sounds albums. While he was with ABC, Charles became one of the first black musicians to be granted artistic control by a mainstream record company. Charles's 1960 hit, Georgia on My Mind, was the first of his three career #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100. His 1962 album Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music became his first album to top the Billboard 200. Charles had multiple singles reach the top 40 on various Billboard charts, 44 on the US R&B singles chart, 11 on the Hot 100 singles chart, 2 on the Hot Country singles charts. Charles cited Nat King Cole as a primary influence, but his music was also influenced by Louis Jordan and Charles Brown. He had a lifelong friendship and occasional partnership with Quincy Jones. Frank Sinatra called Ray Charles the only true genius in show business. Although Charles downplayed this notion, Billy Joel said, "This may sound like sacrilege, but I think Ray Charles was more important than Elvis Presley." For his musical contributions, Charles received the Kennedy Center Honors, the National Medal of Arts, and the Polar Music Prize. He was one of the inaugural inductees at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 1986, he has won 18 Grammy Awards, 5 posthumously, the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1987. And 10 of his recordings have been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Rolling Stone ranked Charles number 10 on their list of the 100 greatest artists of all time, and number 2 on their list of the 100 greatest singers of all time. In 2022, he will be inducted into the Black Music and Entertainment Walk of Fame. His early life and education. Ray Charles Robinson was born on September 23, 1930 in Albany, Georgia. He was the son of Bailey Robinson, a laborer, and Aretha Robinson, née Williams, a laundress, of Greenville, Florida. During Aretha's childhood, her mother died and her father, a man Bailey worked with, could not keep her. The Robinson family, Bailey, his wife Mary Jane and his mother informally adopted her, and Aretha took the surname Robinson. A few years later, 15-year-old Aretha became pregnant by Bailey. During the ensuing scandal, she left Greenville late in the summer of 1930 to be with family in Albany, Georgia. After the birth of Ray Charles, she and her baby returned to Greenville. Aretha and Bailey's wife, who had lost a son, then shared in Charles's upbringing. His father abandoned the family, left Greenville, and married another woman elsewhere. By his first birthday, Charles had a brother, George. In later years, no one could remember who George's father was. Charles was deeply devoted to his mother and later recalled, despite her poor health and adversity, her perseverance, self-sufficiency, and pride were guiding lights in his life. In his early years, Charles showed an interest in mechanical objects and would often watch his neighbors working on their cars and farm machinery. His musical curiosity was sparked at Wiley Pittman's Red Wing Cafe. At the age of 3, when Pittman played boogie woogie on an old upright piano, Pittman subsequently taught Charles how to play the piano. Charles and his mother were always welcome at the Red Wing Cafe and even lived there when they were in financial distress. Pittman would also care for Ray's younger brother George, to take some of the burden off their mother. George accidentally drowned in his mother's laundry tub when he was 4 years old. Charles started to lose his sight at the age of 4 or 5, and was blind by the age of 7. Likely as a result of glaucoma, destitute, uneducated, and mourning the loss of her younger son. Aretha Robinson used her connections in the local community to find a school that would accept a blind African American pupil. Despite his initial protest, Charles attended school at the Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind in St. Augustine from 1937 to 1945. Charles further developed his musical talent at school and was taught to play the classical piano music of J.S. Bach, Mozart and Beethoven. His teacher, Mrs. Lawrence, taught him how to use Braille music. A difficult process that requires learning the left hand movements by reading Braille with the right hand and learning the right hand movements by reading Braille with the left hand, and then combining the two parts. Ray Charles's mother died in the spring of 1945, when he was 14. Her death came as a shock to him. He later said the deaths of his brother and mother were the two great tragedies of his life. Charles decided not to return to school after the funeral. Personal life. Charles stated in his 1978 autobiography, Brother Ray Charles's own story, that he became hooked on women after losing his virginity at 12 years old to a woman about 20. Cigarettes and smack heroin are the two truly addictive habits I've known. You might add women, he said. My obsession centers on women did then, when young, and is now. I can't leave them alone, he added. Relationships and children. Charles was married twice. His first marriage was less than a year. His second 22 years. Throughout his life Charles had many relationships with women with whom he fathered a dozen children. His marriage to Eileen Williams lasted from July 31, 1951, until 1952. He met his second wife Della Beatrice Howard Robinson, called B. by Charles, in Texas in 1954. They married the following year on April 5, 1955. Their first child together, Ray Charles Robinson Jr., was born in 1955. Charles was not in town for the birth because he was playing a show in Texas. The couple had 2 more sons, David and Robert. They raised their children in View Park, California. Charles felt that his heroin addiction took a toll on Della during their marriage due to his drug addiction, extramarital affairs on tours and volatile behavior. The marriage deteriorated and they divorced after 22 years of marriage in 1977. Charles had a 6-year-long affair with Margie Hendricks, one of the original Raelettes, and in 1959 they had a son, Charles Wayne. His affair with Mae Mosley Lyles resulted in another daughter, Renee, born in 1961. In 1963, by Sandra Jean Betts, Ray Charles had a daughter, Sheila Ray Charles, a singer and songwriter who died of breast cancer on June 15, 2017. In 1977, Charles had a child with his Parisian lover Arlette Kochunian, whom he met in 1967. His long-term girlfriend and partner at the time of his death was Norma Pinella. Charles fathered a total of 12 children with 10 different women. Evelyn Robinson, born in 1949, daughter with Louise Flowers. Ray Charles Robinson Jr., born May 25, 1955, son with wife Della B. Robinson. David Robinson, born in 1958, son with wife Della B. Robinson. Charles Wayne Hendricks, born on October 1, 1959, son with Margie Hendricks, one of the Raelettes. Robert Robinson, born in 1960, son with wife Della B. Robinson. Renee Robinson, born in 1961, daughter with Mae Mosley Lyles. Sheila Robinson, born in 1963, daughter with Sandra Jean Betts. Retha Butler, born in 1966. Alexandra Bertrand, born in 1968, daughter with Mary Chantal Bertrand. Vincent Kochunian, born in 1977, son with Arlette Kochunian. Robin Moffat, Born in 1978, daughter with Gloria Moffat. Ryan Corey Robinson Denbach. Born in 1987, son with Mary Ann Denbach. Charles held a family luncheon for his 12 children in 2002, 10 of whom attended. He told them he was mortally ill and $500,000 had been placed in trusts for each of the children to be paid out over the next 5 years. Drug abuse and legal problems. At 18, Charles first tried marijuana when he played in Mixon Trio and was eager to try it as he thought it helped musicians create music and tap into their creativity. He later became addicted to heroin for 17 years. Charles was first arrested in 1955, when he and his bandmates were caught backstage with loose marijuana and drug paraphernalia, including a burnt spoon, syringe, and needle. The arrest did not deter his drug use, which only escalated as he became more successful and made more money. In 1958, Charles was arrested on a Harlem street corner for possession of narcotics and equipment for administering heroin. Charles was arrested on a narcotics charge on November 14, 1961, while waiting in an Indiana hotel room before a performance. The detectives seized heroin, marijuana, and other items. Charles, then 31, said he had been a drug addict since the age of 16. The case was dismissed because of the manner in which the evidence was obtained. But Charles's situation did not improve until a few years later. On Halloween 1964, Charles was arrested for possession of heroin at Boston's Logan Airport. He decided to quit heroin and entered St. Francis Hospital in Linwood, California, where he endured 4 days of cold turkey withdrawal. Following his self-imposed stay, he pleaded guilty to 4 narcotic charges. Prosecutors called for 2 years in prison and a hefty fine. But the judge listened to Dr. Hacker's account of Charles's determination to get off drugs, and he was sent to McLean Hospital in Belmont, Massachusetts. The judge offered to postpone the verdict for a year if Charles agreed to undergo regular examinations by government-appointed physicians. When Charles returned to court, he received a 5-year suspended sentence, 4 years of probation, and a fine of $10,000. Charles responded to the saga of his drug use and reform with the songs, "I Don't Need No Doctor," and "Let's Go Get Stoned," and the release of Crying Time, his first album since kicking his heroin addiction in 1966. Chess hobby. Charles enjoyed playing chess as part of his therapy when he quit heroin. He met with psychiatrist Friedrich Hacker, who taught him how to play chess 3 times a week. He used a special board with raised squares and holes for the pieces. When questioned if people try to cheat against a blind man, he joked in reply, "You can't cheat in chess. I'm gonna see that." In a 1991 concert, he referred to Willie Nelson as "my chess partner." In 2002, he played and lost to the American Grandmaster and former U.S. champion Larry Evans. Death. In 2003, Charles had successful hip replacement surgery and was planning to go back on tour, until he began suffering from other ailments. He died at his home in Beverly Hills, California, of complications resulting from liver failure, on June 10, 2004, at the age of 73. His funeral took place on June 18, 2004, at the First African Methodist Episcopal Church of Los Angeles, with numerous musical figures in attendance. B.B. King, Glenn Campbell, Stevie Wonder and Wynton Marsalis each played a tribute at the funeral. He was interred in the Inglewood Park Cemetery. His final album, Genius Loves Company, released 2 months after his death, consists of duets with admirers and contemporaries. B.B. King, Van Morrison, Willie Nelson, James Taylor, Gladys Knight, Michael McDonald, Natalie Cole, Elton John, Bonnie Raitt, Diana Krall, Norah Jones and Johnny Mathis. The album won 8 Grammy Awards, including Best Pop Vocal Album, Album of the Year, Record of the Year and Best Pop Collaboration with Vocals for Here We Go Again with Norah Jones. And Best Gospel Performance for Heaven Help Us All with Gladys Knight. He also received nods for his duets with Elton John and B.B. King. The album included a version of Harold Arlen and E.Y. Harburg's Over the Rainbow, sung as a duet with Johnny Mathis, which was played at Charles's memorial service. The episode, School's Out, the musical, from The Fairly OddParents was dedicated to his memory. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video.